Here is Amara. You wave, Amara. Amara came and talked to me at the beginning of the break, and she said, could I tell the story of the Island of the Sun? And I said, oh, the Island of the Sun is a Chinese story. How do you know this story, Amara? And she said, I listened to it on the internet. Now, it's amazing these days. We can travel the world in stories, and Amara listens to me telling that story on the internet. You might be interested. I'm involved in a project in the UK called World Stories. And there's a website called worldstories.org.uk. Very easy to find. You just put in World Stories in Google and you can find it. And World Stories is aimed firstly at the UK, but it's really aimed around the world because it takes the cultures and languages that are most common in the UK. And of course, that includes languages from around the world, like Spanish, Portuguese, languages from Africa, like Yoruba and Akan, and Somali, languages from Asia, like Chinese, Mandarin and Cantonese, languages like, well, of course, Arabic and Pashtun, and Urdu, Gujarati, and Hindi, and Bengali, and Tamil. All of these languages are the most commonly spoken languages in the UK. So we've taken those languages, we've looked for stories. Many people who are living in the UK, who come from different cultural backgrounds, have brought their stories, and the stories are on this website. And they're told and written in English and in the language where the story comes from. This is a Chinese story. We're going to go around the world to China, and it's the Island of the Sun. And again, I will need your help. Once upon a time, there was a farmer, and he had two sons. And the older son was selfish and greedy, but the younger son was good and kind and helpful. The farmer died, and the older brother took all of the land for himself. Everything. All of the pigs, all of the chickens, and his younger brother had nothing except an old basket and a sharp knife. And the poor young brother, he went into the forest and he chopped firewood. And he collected the firewood in the basket, and he went to the village and he exchanged the firewood for a little rice. Just enough to live. But he was poor, and really he had nothing. Every day he was chopping the wood, collecting in the basket, just enough to live. He was poor and he had nothing. But one day, he walked through the forest until he came to the mountains, and there he sat at the top of a high mountain, looking towards the west, where the sun was going down. And as he sat there, looking towards the west, he felt a cold rush of air, and the sky became dark. And he looked up, and there was a beautiful, huge bird. A bird with shining wings. And the bird was flying down from the setting sun. And the bird came and landed next to the young man. Why do you sit here all alone? I am poor. I have nothing. Is this true or is this false? It is true, I am poor. I have nothing. Then climb on my back. I will carry you to the Island of the Sun. There you may take one piece of gold, no more. And the young brother, he climbed onto the back of that beautiful bird, and the bird opened its wings, magnificent and shining in the setting sun. And the bird flew away. That's right. Show me your wings. And can you say after me? Over the mountains the great bird flew.
Over the mountains
see and hear the people at the back. Okay. Over the forest, the great bird flew. Over the ocean, the great bird flew. To the island of the sun, the great bird flew. Now the bird flew down towards the island, and as it landed, the sun set behind the island. And the young man climbed off, and he saw that the island was covered with pieces of gold. And he remembered the bird's words. And he picked up one piece of gold, and he put it in his basket. Just one. And he climbed onto the bird, and the bird opened its wings. Can you say it after me? Away from the island, the great bird flew.
Away from the island, the great bird flew.
Over the ocean, the great bird flew.
Over the ocean, the great bird flew.
Over the forests, the great bird flew.
Over the forest, the great bird flew.
Back to the mountains, the great bird flew.
Back to the mountains, the great bird flew.
The bird landed on the same rocky ledge. And the young man climbed down from his back, and he took that piece of gold, and with that small piece of gold, he bought himself a little bit of land. And he bought himself a couple of pigs and some chickens. And he started to farm, and he did very well because he was honest and he was hard-working. But the older brother heard about this, and he came and said, "Where did you get all of this? I left you with nothing." And the younger brother told him. He told him everything because he was honest. "I want that gold. Give me the basket." And he took the basket, and he went climbing through the forest and up the mountain until he came to that high place. And he sat on that rocky ledge, and the older brother thought, "Now I will be rich." And he waited, and soon he felt a rush of air, and the sun was setting, and the bird appeared, bright-coloured, shining golden wings, and landed next to him. "Why do you sit here all alone?" "I'm poor. I have nothing. Is this true or is this false?"
False.
"It's true. I'm poor. I just want some gold." "Climb on my back. I will carry you to the island of the sun. There you may take one piece of gold, no more." And the older brother climbed onto the back of the bird, and the bird opened its magnificent wings. And now let's say it together. Are you ready? Over the mountains, the great bird flew. Over the forests, the great bird flew. Over the ocean, the great bird flew. To the island of the sun, the great bird flew. And the bird flew down, and the sun set behind the island. And the bird landed, and the older brother climbed off the bird and took the basket and saw, the island was covered with pieces of gold. And he took one piece of gold. The bottom of my basket. Is it enough? Oh, surely just another piece of gold. And another piece of gold. And another piece of gold.
And another piece of gold.
And another. And all through the night, he was gathering pieces of gold until his basket was heavy and full. And in the morning, as dawn was breaking, he thought, "Now I have plenty." And he turned, but the bird gone. And as he stood there, the sun rose in the east. And the sun was hot and bright. And the older brother was burned to a crisp. The young brother, he waited. But when his older brother did not return, he now had 2 pieces of land. And he continued to farm his brother's pigs and chickens, and he did well, and he was honest, and he had plenty. He had so much that he had spare, so he shared it with those in the community who needed it most. That is the story from China, of the island of the sun.